Okay, so 40-day prosperity plan. As I explained before, I do this every year on my birthday. Let me just make sure that prosperity plan. Hold on. I do this every year on my birthday. Or I've done it for the past 3 years. This is the fourth year, I think. And every year that I've done it, my life has changed. And every year that I've done it, I've posted on Facebook, people can follow along. And last year I did some live videos, I think maybe the year before, so I'm doing the same thing again. So this is the book, The Abundance Book by John Randolph Price. You can purchase it on Amazon. There's a link to it in my link in bio on my social media platforms if you'd like to get it and do it yourself and do it often. So today we're focusing on day one. And sorry, my stomach is bothering me, not from last night's festivities, but from the supplements that I took this morning. So I'm gonna move a little slow with it. All right, so a few things to know. When I do my live streams, I generally will talk, teach. I don't often look at the comments at the same time, just because I'm letting whatever comes through me come through me. At the end of it, or after I put up the recording, I will definitely go back and look and respond. So I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you if you're posting something or post a question. It's just if something's coming through, I can't stop in mid thought to go answer it and then to come back. So I hope that makes sense. Definitely not ignoring you whatsoever, but I will come back to it. All right, so day one. Hopefully, if you have the book, you read the first statement that's on day 28. I'm not going to read it here, but if you have the book, the statement that's on day 28 is the statement that you want to start with. That's number one. Number two, you cannot skip a day. You cannot miss a day. If you miss a day, you go back to the beginning. And I'll talk more about that, why it explains why in the book, but I'll give you my own version of it. You cannot miss a day. This is consecutive, and I've done it. I have missed a day and had to start from, I think the first time I did it, had to start over like 2 or 3 times. You cannot miss a day. So coming on to watch the live streams is great, but also for your own self, you must write each statement out every day. Get it in within 24 hours. So if before you go to sleep, you're like, oh shit, I didn't remember, go write it. Okay, so the first statement is, God is lavish, unfailing abundance, the rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. This all-providing source of infinite prosperity is individualized as me, the reality of me. I'm going to read it one more time. I usually read them twice. God is lavish, unfailing abundance, the rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. This all-providing source of infinite prosperity is individualized as me, the reality of me. So each time I read this book, each time I go through these statements, it hits me on another level. There's certain statements that really hit me in the chest. There's certain statements that it still takes me some time to unravel. This statement today, when I wrote it in my manifestation journal, it hit me so clearly. And part of the reason why doing this over and over again is such a great idea is because as you grow and shift in your spiritual journey, the sayings in the book will hit you differently. So the amount of work that I've done from last year's birthday to this year's birthday have helped me to get to this point where when I read that statement this morning, and for me, when something hits me and I know it's integrated, it feels like the visualization of what it feels like would be, you watch one of those movies and the wind flows over someone, usually they do it when someone's being possessed, right? It's like the wind will hit them and they'll be like, and then it's like, that's the visualization of what it feels like for me. And that's what it felt like this morning when I read this. John Randolph Price uses the word God. I don't care what word you use. I will say that because when I'm reading it, because that's what the book says. I generally don't tend to use the word God because it's so loaded and it keeps my mind entrenched in Judeo-Christian thinking, which is the Judeo-Christian thinking that people have been given, which is completely opposite what Judeo-Christian thinking was actually supposed to do. So the reason I don't use the word God is because when I use God, it triggers in my mind this whole idea of what God is based on what this country has said it is. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So in order to protect my sanity, I generally don't tend to use that word because I'm still unraveling the symbolism of that in my own mind for me. But if it works for you, then use it. I will use the creator, source energy. Those vibe better with me and give me a reminder of what it actually is. When I hear God, the first thing that comes to mind is he, because that's what I grew up hearing. And God is not a he. God is not a he. No he can create life without the aid of a she. So it is literally impossible for that which created all life to be a gender, and specifically a male gender. And it's that, you know, like, it's funny how people will think if I, like, it's not just if I say it, but if anybody says that somehow is discounting men, and it's not. This is just factual information that no, it's not a he. So source energy, the creator, whatever other name you want to give it, right? And I want to go over these things because words have meaning. And this is partly why we're all gathered here to do this, because words have meaning. And what we've been doing over the course of our lives, we've been programming ourselves to live in poverty, not just be poor, live in poverty, lack, not just your money, but your love, your opportunities, your sex, your orgasms, right? This is the abundance book, not just the get more cash book. And if you think that you're going to do these 40 days and because you're trying to get more money, you should not do this. It's absolutely not what it's about. However, when you understand the principles in this book, you will see an influx of money in your life, just as a symbolic manifestation of your openness to abundance, because that's what cash is. Cash is not the thing by itself. Another thing I want to say before I continue on to going into the first statement. Everything I'm teaching here is from a spiritual principle. I am not going to get into like too much of the real, it's not even real world stuff, but what your human brain thinks is real world stuff here, because that's a constriction. It is filled with lack mentality. It is separatist. It separates you from the divine. And that's the very opposite of what all of this is. So whatever your background is, wherever you've come from, whatever the story is that you've given yourself as to why it is not possible or someone is not allowing you to do something, you're going to have to leave that at the door. If you can't leave that at the door, you should also not be doing this right now. You should be doing some other work to prepare your mind to do this work, because otherwise the statements will be very difficult for you. They won't penetrate you. I encourage you to you know what? I encourage you to follow along and go along with each statement, even if it doesn't hit you now. But if you are going to be in a space where you're looking at your life from your human eyes and always saying, but, just sit back and enjoy the ride, I guess. Okay. All right. So first statement, God is lavish, unfailing abundance. Source energy, the creator, is lavish, unfailing abundance. that which created, that energy which created everything that exists in our universe, everything that exists is infinitely abundant. That energy creates planets, stars. That energy creates life on planets. That energy creates life on this planet. That energy creates trees that are consistently growing and dying and growing again, and flowers and fruits and vegetables and animals. That energy is constantly in motion, infinitely abundant. It never ends. The energy never ends. It transforms itself over and over and over again, but it never ends. It is constantly in creation. So I want you to understand that part first. This energy that created the planet that you live on right now is constantly in creation. There is no lack. It doesn't say, oh shit, I ran out of. There's consistent abundance. That energy manifests and represents itself in this space as you, the reality of you. Really, really get this. Some of you who are still in the human mind, imagine if a 3-year-old wanted to create, you've seen 3-year-olds play if you have children. Imagine a 3-year-old creating a village with their toys, right? They've got their Legos and whatnot, and they've got their little figurine doll. Well, maybe not 3 because they'll swallow it, right? So let's say 5. No, let's go with 3. They're creating a village. They're using in their imagination. What would this look like over here? What would it be like here? What would it be like here? And they put everything there and they're like, oh my gosh. And then they're like, well, what if it came to life? And they like, whatever it is that they do, abracadabra. And the little figurines start moving around and they're just like, but they've put their essence into each one, into each doll, each piece. The little tree that they stuck here, they put a piece of their essence into that. And so even though they're up here, and I just say up here as in looking down, there's nothing in the sky, y'all, looking at what they've created, everything they've created has that piece of that 3-year-old in it. You are a piece. You are a piece of the energy that is abundant in supply. That energy has manifested as the reality of you. Now, part of me wants to jump ahead because that means if it has manifested as reality of you, but I don't want to do that because the other statements will indicate, well, what does that mean? So right now I'm going to do my best to concentrate just on this part. When I was reading the statement this morning, it really sunk in. Like, it's been sinking in, but it really sunk in. And so basically what that means is that you are not a human. You are living this life in a human form. You have chosen to take on this form to experience the world that you're living in. But that is not who and what you are. The human form is limiting to a large degree, right? It has a shelf life. All goes well and everyone's blessed. It's got a good 80 to 100-ish years, this body, before the container is done. That's not who you are. This is the container that you're in. The reality of you. And the reason why this statement is so important to sink in is because the rest of the statements will build upon this one. So you must absolutely believe and understand that the reality of you is that you are actually a wisp, a string of energy of that which created everything. You are not separate from that. So let me get into religion for a minute. I do like talking about religion because I love religion and I like studying them. They're all the same. They are all of the teachers came to teach you these principles so that you would experience heaven on earth. Not something for you to get to once you die, but for you to experience it here so you could play here with all the toys that you wanted. And when I say toys, I don't necessarily mean a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Tesla. Those are cool toys too. Flowers, good food, a lake, birds chirping. We have to start thinking about abundance as more than just the things that we can purchase. Because I think it's a wonderful idea to want to stack your paper, but perhaps you are here to really just enjoy everything and live a very comfortable life where just everything's paid. Perhaps you are here to go sunbathing on a yacht in the south of France. That is me. You will know the journey of your soul, and that journey can shift, by the way. But I want you to start seeing abundance as more than just the physical objects. So all of the teachers came to teach us this. Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Muhammad, all of them. Those books are heavy metaphysical books, heavy transformation books. They were then taken, somebody knocking on my door. They were then taken and shifted to control people so that they would not utilize their God-given power. Because when you understand that you are not simply a human being, but that you are a symbolic representation of source energy that created everything, who the fuck gonna stop you? Who's gonna stop you from living a life of full abundance? No other human can prevent you from having that. And you cannot prevent another human from having it either. You are a direct representation of source energy. You do not need a bridge person to connect you because you've been separated because of sex. Don't even get me started. The bridge person, people, were there to show you this is what life can look like and be like. Jesus was killed for that. He was killed for attempting to teach his people at that time that they did not have to live under the rule of someone else. He never said, come worship me. He always said, they said through the Father, right? But through this source energy, I am able to do these things, and so can you. And so can you. If you follow the things that I'm outlining for you, fasting, prayer / meditation, getting in touch with your higher self. That's basically the point of the book. All the other stuff is just like additional things. The basic point of that book, of the Quran, of the Torah, of the Bhagavad Gita, of all of the books were, look, get your system aligned, feed it right shit, right stuff, because shit, feed it right, and a whole world will open up to you. You will never be without. But if you are separated from that source, you will live in a hell. This is not an after death thing. If you are separate from source energy, you will live in a hell, because the space between you living as you more in tune with your higher self and higher faculties versus living in tune with the base dense energy of your human form is filled with living according to your emotions, is filled with being swayed by everything that's happening because you have no center. Right? It's not that the seven deadly sins, these are the things that if you're only stuck in your human mind and you forget your connection to source energy, to the creator, to God, why are you jealous? Well, you're jealous because you don't think you have, and you want what someone else has because you're separate from source energy. So you've forgotten that you are clear abundance. Why are you angry? Why are you wrathful? Well, because you're separate from source energy. So you don't trust. You don't trust what your path is. You don't trust what the other person's path is. You must be the thing to enact whatever needs to happen. You are separate from. As Mufasa says in The Lion King, Simba, you have forgotten who you are, and thus you have forgotten me. I mean, this shit is everywhere. So the first rule of this, of understanding the abundance that you live in, is to understand that the same energy that creates the trees, the grass, the flowers, the birds, even the fucking rats that are always plentiful, is the same source that created you. And not just that it created you and you're over here and that source is over there, but that you are that source, each one of us. And I say this all the time. I use this example of your fingerprint. You are the only human on this planet with your fingerprints. There is not another human that is living at this time, or probably has passed away, or that has your fingerprint. You are an individualized representation of source energy. Just the same as no snowflake is the same. It looks like it to our eye because we can't see it. We look like a bunch of humans running around because we don't see it. But when you manage to get a snowflake and freeze it and look at it under a microscope, and you look at 5 of them, none of them are ever the same, ever. That is you. You are an individualized reflection, representation of source energy. Let that sink in your body. That's the first part of really understanding this, so that you begin, if you felt separate from, if you've been taught that you need someone else to get to God, It is not that you can only get to God through Jesus, and so then he needs to be worshiped. It is that you can get back to that source energy by following that example. You can get back to source energy by following the example of Muhammad. These figures, no religious figure comes to be worshiped. And understand that these thoughts were given to you to actually keep you separate from this energy so that you could remain easy to control. Because when you don't recognize your true power or how powerful you are, you will always be looking outside to someone else to give you that power. Well, I'm not connected to God. You know, I gotta go through somebody else to get to God. I gotta go through this to get to God. And if I can't do that, then I can't get to God. Are you kidding me? You are God. You don't need anyone else. Now, you may not have woken up to that fact, but you are that. I am that I am. That statement is in there. Yes, I am that I am, for you to say. Not I am that I am if pastor said, or I am that I am if Jesus said. I am that I am. Now, I want you to understand how these are the teachings that keep you in a space of chasing abundance. You should never chase abundance. You should never chase a man or a woman. You should never chase your orgasms. There's nothing for you to chase. Chase is desperation. Chase is I don't trust. When you are separate from, you are relying on someone else to pay you, that you can't have money unless someone else provides it for you. When you do that, you're making man and money, humans, man and woman, your provider, not source energy. All right, I'm jumping ahead, so I'm gonna stop there. For today is the day that you remember you are a direct representation of source energy. There is no separation between you and, I'm going to read the statement again. God is lavish, unfailing abundance, the rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. This all-providing source of infinite prosperity is individualized as me, the reality of me. I'm gonna read that one more time because it's really, the more I read it, it's hitting me. And let me translate it a little bit. The source that created everything in the universe, that has no limitation on its presence and what it does. This source of infinite, your mind can't, infinite, there's never an end. This source of infinite prosperity is individualized as you. This all-providing source of infinite prosperity is individualized as the reality of you. Your skin, your cells, your hair, your legs, your arms, your organs, all of that is this source of infinite prosperity living through your body. Get that. This infinite abundant source is living through your body. I'm just going to leave you with that. I will be back tomorrow morning. I will do my best to come on at early o'clock. I don't know what time. I want to say 8. I want to say 8. So somewhere between 7:45 and 8:15. Don't hold me to 8 o'clock, please. Don't do that. That would not be a good idea. Just sometime between 7:45 and 8:15, I will be on. There's a way for you to, I think it used to be you could get notifications or whatever. But like I said, I will post these. I understand wanting to come on live and get the energy like right here. And if you can, it's great. If not, no worries. This will be going up in other places. And I'm doing this along with you all. This is for my birthday, one of my friends got me this journal, and it's Josephine Baker on the front. And so let me, you know, let me say this. Once you start really opening, if you have not really done this, once you really start opening and doing meditations and things like that, and opening your mind, you will, the synchronicities just start. It's not even synchronicity. It's really just your soul is really guiding. And this is part of how you create this abundance in your life. But I digress. So Josephine Baker's on the cover of this. I didn't know it because I didn't look at the book yet. Last night, while we were out eating after the boat ride, one of my friends, Chikava, who is a burlesque dancer, Brown Girls Burlesque, go look them up. I told her, I said, you remind me of Josephine Baker and Dorothy Dandridge. I said, but really a lot of Josephine Baker I feel when I'm around you. And she was like, oh my God, thank you. You know, she's a dancer, Black woman. I get home and I open my present, and who's on the cover but Josephine Baker. If you don't know who Josephine Baker is, go look her up. She was a wild woman. And when I say wild woman, she understood clearly her abundance, and she was not going to let anybody stop her from doing whatever the fuck she wanted to do. The most famous dance that she did was her topless and like with bananas around her waist or something like that in France. Topless. Josephine Baker cared not what other humans were thinking of her, because she knew, whether she realized it or not, but I think she did. She knew what she was here to do, and she was well aware of what her power was. And this was in the 1930s and 40s, y'all. You would never hear her say, white people won't let me. You will never hear her say, well, because I'm a woman, I couldn't. Oh, fuck no. And so I think it's very fitting that not only did I mention her name and speak it, but that she happened to be on the journal, because she's also one of my favorite people when I look at women who have blazed pathways in sensuality and sexuality and knew how to own and claim that power, that God-given power that we have, especially those of us in feminine form, in order to create the life that we want to create. And we will get into more of that over the course of the 40 days. All right, enjoy your day. I'm gonna enjoy mine. It's my birthday, I'm chilling. I will go back and read comments and respond. And tomorrow morning I'll be on here probably somewhere between 8 and 10, but I'll try and make an announcement. Just follow along. I love you all. Thank you for joining and doing this for you, because I'll be doing this even if nobody was watching. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.